Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Welcome to Match Day. I'm Vince. We have Ian. And also with us, we have, very fortunate today, we have a member of our advocacy group, our faith-based advocacy group, Michael Lynch, and he's the women's coach at Belmont Abbey College.
Yep.
And he's been there about 8 or 9 years.
My ninth, yeah, so going on my 10th season, 9 years.
Well, welcome. Thank you very much for being here, taking time, and appreciate you sharing your experiences and everything. So Martin Kentai says, good afternoon. I don't know if you know him or not, but
I don't, but I'm one that can forget names real easily. So yeah, but that's awesome.
No, that's great. So let's just start. We usually start with just asking, how did you get to where you are?
Yeah.
You got quite a journey.
Yeah. Well, anyway, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this match day and to talk about things that are important and dear to my heart. But my story, I think, is unique and not too real unique compared to others that are in my situation. But I basically been coaching for about 35 years, and that was club, high school, ODP, and college. 17 years at college level, Division I, Division II, Division III, both men and women. I think I've experienced every format that's out there. And as you mentioned, Belmont Abbey College since 2011 with the women's team, and then Faith-Based Coaches Advocacy, which was originally chartered in 2017. I was the person who there were so many other great people that were getting that going, and I was just one that kind of said, okay, let's take it now official and now make it an official advocacy group. So we've been going for about 3 years. It's a great group. We've been trying to do a lot of cool things, and the response has been real positive. I feel like there's 3 themes that really jump into my my development as a player and as a coach, and really the military, my body, mind, and soul, kind of keeping those connected. And then lastly is just this melting pot that we have here in the United States. And so the military piece, I spent 30 years in the military, 18 as a brat, my dad was in the Air Force. And so I was in a military family, and that moved us all over the place. I lived 9 places, different places in my first 20 years, but those included stops in Las Vegas, in Dayton, and at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, which were really influential in my soccer development. And I'll get to that in a sec. And so I was very fortunate that we had that experience. The developing the body, mind, and soul, that was interesting. The Inner Athlete is a book by Robert Nideffer that was published in 1976. And that's when I was in 9th grade. I was learning how to do term papers, and I decided to do this Inner Athlete sports psychology term paper. And ever since then, I've always been intrigued on how the mind affects the body, and how even what you put in the body will affect the mind, but that connection. And so that theme has constantly come up as a player to me, and then as a coach, I've always been interested. I don't know if I did it very good as a coach, I do it very well, but it's very interesting to me, and I really feel like it does make a huge difference in the performance of our athletes, and both on and off the field. But just a quick story on that. In 1978, I was this was going into my junior year. I went to an FCA soccer camp, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I just went to the soccer camp because they had good coaches. And I went to the camp, and then they did this thing called huddles beforehand, which is kind of it's basically looking at your faith, but it also is a big connection to your body, and your body connection, your soul connection to your performance. And I latched onto that, and I used those same notes that I took when I was going into my junior year in high school. I used it all the way through college as a player. I still use it today for pregame preparation. And so what's interesting is that paper kind of got me interested when I was in junior high school. And then as I went to those camps, and then I keep coming into, as a coach, where my faith keeps intersecting with my game, my love for the game. And I think in both in hopefully a positive way. And so I've been doing that, and trying to stay connected, which kind of led me to the faith-based coaches. But that melting pot is the other piece that is just so huge, in that, growing up in Las Vegas and in Dayton, Ohio, and at the Air Force Academy, I had coaches that were, South American, English, German. Louis was Guatemalan at Air Force. And they kept getting me super excited about the different nuances of the different cultural playing styles, and the love for the game from just the grassroots level, pickup games. My favorite movie is Pelada. One of my favorite movies, soccer movies, Pelada. Because when I watched that movie, and my kids were watching it, and they had already experienced it. I've been to 6 World Cups, and the highlight of the World Cup is the people we meet and the people we play soccer with. And it's not the games. I mean, the games are fun. I love watching the games. But, oh, my gosh, the pickup games that we played at the Rose Bowl, when you park at the Rose Bowl in the 1994 World Cup, you park on a golf fairway. So we're playing pickup on grass that looks like you're playing in a professional stadium. I was like, oh, my gosh, this is unbelievable. And we're playing with people from all over the world. And that was my experience in Germany. We played with people. And when 2006, we played with people from all over the world. And same thing, in 2019, I took my women's soccer team to Belmont, Abbey. We went to France and watched the Women's World Cup and just had a blast. And it was the people we met, and the diversity of the world's game is just so amazing.
You shared a lot. And Coach Barker, by the way, Chad Underwood says, Coach Lynch, he says, great to see you, Coach, and he enjoyed your open training sessions and that you were able to share. So thank you.
Here in North Carolina.
So the type of athlete you get at Belmont Abbey, the type of student, right? My son's at a Nazarene University, right? So he has to find recruits that fit, Are you in the same kind of situation?
Absolutely. It's we're very deliberate in the people that we're hoping to attract, and then get them to come and then keep them in their program. And one of the beauties of faith-based institutions is, some will be looking for a specific fit, an exact faith fit, but many are just looking for a mindset fit. That if you belong to the mindset that there's something that's bigger than yourself or bigger than soccer, and you can imagine from a soccer coach's point of view, if I can get players who just want to submit to the team, then the rest is a lot easier, if you will. And so those are the kids that are usually attracted to us, or the kids that we see that, because we're looking for certainly people where faith is important, but really their character is really strong. And if their character is really strong, which means they're used to sacrificing for the good of the team, and which is really the culture of the college and the culture of our team. And so it just makes for a good fit. And I tell you, it's a great place to be coaching at, because it's, we all have issues, we all have kids do things, but again, it's, our kids we got great kids, like everybody does, but we got great kids, and it's just a great environment to coach at.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, you don't necessarily get the perfect mold, right? For example, I was one of those kids. I mean, I was going nowhere fast in Indianapolis, going to IUPUI and working at UPS, the midnight shift. And all of a sudden, Bethel College men's soccer coach called me out of the blue. I had no idea where it was, but it's run by the missionary church. So here I am, this rough, kid from the secular world, kind of, if you will, even though my dad played with Andre Crouch and the Disciples, my position. Here I go to Bethel, and it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? There isn't, and it completely changed my life in a fantastic way. So I guess I just asked that question, because my son deals with it as a coach, but I also dealt with it when I was a player, and also when I was a coach. I was a women's coach at Bethel for a little bit, but I think it's fascinating. Coach Barker says he has a faith-based story. So, Coach?
Yeah. So when I was at Wisconsin, issues of faith-based was not really like an issue in terms of the type of schools, because we're in the Big Ten and we played Air Force and everything. But when I went to the Division III conference in Minnesota, it was amazing, because we had probably at the most conservative end, we had Bethel College, but we had St. Thomas, we had Gustavus Adolphus, we had St. Olaf. And then in McAllister, where I was, you had Princeton Review's most irreligious school in America. But we were all in the same conference. And so one of the great things for a parent and a coach and a student athlete looking for their college choices is you can still enjoy all the diversity of all the different types of inputs and influences, but in competition, if you choose to go to the school that really meets your particular needs, be it academic or faith-based or athletic. So what my sort of point to parents and coaches and anybody sharing is, have a really broad look, because you can go to a school like Belmont and then you can play other institutions. Yes. And your kids can still enjoy all of that experience of college for sure.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the mission fit, the motivation fit, the job fit, however you want to call it, is important. But it's also, like you said, I don't think it has to be that restrictive. You're just looking for the big pieces are congruent with your own values. You know, when I look at, because I coached at Air Force too, in addition to playing, and when we were recruiting for a military academy, you know, you would think that, oh my gosh, you got to get these people that are really pro-military and they're gung-ho, and really just looking for kids who are disciplined, hardworking, they, you know, and everything else, they thrive there. And so it's just, you know, you get those the big fit questions, which are more character questions that I think, and they can thrive, like you said. And I think those conferences that are where you play those teams, I tell you, it's a great environment to compete in, because again, they're competing for the good of the game, not for what the world says is most important.
And we used to compete against Coach Bean at Wheaton College, and I remember they had a player who was an All-American. He was a fantastic player, a centre back. And the story we were told when we went back the next year and he wasn't playing was that he had gone to see Joe and said, you know, the elements of the covenant that I've signed, I don't feel I can any longer adhere to. Some of the requirements to be at Wheaton as a student. And so he respectfully asked to transfer, and he was an All-American, a great player. And Joe, of course, didn't compromise Wheaton College, and the kid went on, and I think he had a good career somewhere else. But that was, I thought, to me, a really interesting story, because you sign up, you make the opportunity, and then you can evaluate, and you're not locked in. And if you've got good coaches around you and it's a good institution, you have the freedom to move on if it's not the right fit.
Well, and in fact, one of the things that we talk about at Faith-Based Coaches is we're constantly trying to, certainly as a group, we want to grow in our faith. We want to keep it an important part of our lives. But really, as it relates to our kids, you know, every kid has their own story. They have their own belief system, and we want to pour into our kids and have them be the best versions of themselves. And if that means stay at my school, great. If that means, you know, find them to get to a different place, great. I mean, I want them to thrive, and I think that's true of most coaches. You don't have to be faith coaches to believe that, but certainly if the faith-based coaches aren't thinking that you know, that I want that kid to be the best version of who they are, whatever their belief system, then I think we're failing.
As a representative of our advocacy council, do you ever get challenged by people that want to suggest that we're not tolerant enough? Is our faith, how is tolerance expressed in a faith-based group which is not single denomination?
Yeah, you know, it's I think it's we haven't gotten a lot of that direct challenge. I think it's certainly in the culture. There's an assumption out there that if you're faith-based, then you not have tolerance, and I would argue that that is more the exception than the norm, because most places, again, they, you know, most of the world faith traditions are united from a foundation of love, or from a foundation of tolerance, if you will. That we want to treat people as humans, as they're important just in and of themselves, and so being very respectful, I think, of everybody's faith traditions or beliefs, if it's not in a faith system, is part of that love and tolerance. And I think it'd be hard to say that you know, you're being very loving if you don't accept them and want them to be a member of your team just like anybody else. We really try to keep it. I don't know if the word is separate from politics. I think the word is we just want to stay true to who we are, and that is we love our players, and their job is to love each other. And if we can get those two things right, then I think the team will do well.
Thank you.
Yeah, just and Martin, if you're listening still, I sent you a link. Martin wanted to ask you a question, like I think verbally. So I sent him a link to hopefully he can get in the room here. Okay. So it's great. I don't know if he can always type it in too. But Bruce has brought up just, you know, great point. He's always looking to share, right, the journey that's been laid out, right, for his players, and to give thanks, right, for their abilities.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you a quick story. You know, here I am coaching at Belmont Abbey, and I feel like we're trying to always be true to our faith and our beliefs, and be the very, best example we can as players, and respecting the game and all those kinds of things, and people. And this isn't my first year there. We're away playing at North Greenville, and they finished the game, and they were also a faith-based institution, and they said, "Hey, would your team want to pray with us after the game?" And this is right after they had never beaten us, and they were winning all the way till about 5 minutes left, and then they were up by 2, and we scored 3 goals in the last 5 or 10 minutes. I can't remember exactly the situation, but I just remember going, "Boy, that must have stung," because they thought they had us, and then we came back and beat them. And then we came together, and it was unbelievable. They had one of their players just do a prayer, and it rocked my world. I just went, wow. To come together with both teams, in a team where we're competing against each other, and we're kicking each other in the shins, if you will. And now we're going to basically say, you know what, this is just a game, and there's things more important than just the game. And it was great to play against you guys, and blah blah blah. I just went, this is a lesson to me to do after every game, because no longer can I, as coaches, we want to teach ourselves, you probably don't want to say what you want to say right after the game. So if you have anything you feel like you need to say, probably wait till Monday. But anyway, it was a lesson to me that, whatever I have to say that's negative can wait till Monday. And right now, we just need to return to what's important, and that is we get to play this beautiful game. We get to be college students. So an attitude of gratitude, if you will, right in after either winning or losing. And ever since we then incorporated that, we invite our teams. Sometimes the teams will join us. Sometimes just players from their team will join us. But I tell you, it's changed the way I feel after games, and I would be surprised if it doesn't change in the players and the other teams as well.
Oh yeah, sure, yep. No, I remember, because I went to a missionary church school, Bethel College, now Bethel University, and we did that. We prayed after games, and with other faith-based institutions, and it was great. Martin. Evidently he didn't get in, but here's his question. He said, Michael mentioned faith intersecting with the game. I wanted to ask if he felt faith was more leaned on during the more difficult seasons or results versus when there were great seasons, right? Mm-hmm. So, good question.
That's a great question. I mean, within the faith community, you always hear people say, when you'll find God, like there's no God in a foxhole, or there's no the atheist in a foxhole. You always hear that funny thing, or what brings you to your knees, and usually it's adversity. And so the nice thing would be is that if my faith is important to me all the time, not just during COVID-19 or when we're losing, but certainly when those things happen, it brings a lot of people back to their roots, their beliefs and their faith. And that's the beauty of it, is that whether we win, lose, COVID, whatever, everybody we're okay. We're good to go. We already know the end of the story. And we're just so thrilled that we get to be in the present and try to help people the best we can. So I think it does really help you in adversity, but hopefully it's a reminder to be grateful even when things aren't adverse.
Oh yeah. Well, it's times that we get tested, right? Yeah. No, thank you. Bruce made a really good comment that that praying after a match with the opposition is one of his favorite moments. And so thank you, Bruce, for sharing. But no, thank you so much. We've gone over time. You've been gracious to give us a few extra minutes.
Yeah.
So if people want to get involved with the Faith-Based Advocacy Group, how do they do that? How do they reach out to you, or do they go through Lee, or how can they do that?
Yeah, all the above. When right now, I think as people join the association, they have an opportunity to affiliate with one or more of the advocacy groups, which is certainly a way to do that, and we get that information. We also Coach with Faith is kind of our current Twitter handle, which can get a message to us, or just email me directly. I kind of manage the database until we figure out a way to do it, automatically. But and my email is just Michael Lynch, MICHAEL Lynch LYNCH @BAC.edu. So Belmont Abbey College, BAC.edu, and I'll add them onto the member list, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you. I put your email in there, so get ready.
Sorry.
No, thank you. But Coach Barker, any last thoughts?
No, we were talking off air before we came on with Michael, because Vince and I now we're about 60 webinars in, and how thoroughly enjoyable it's been learning how different everybody's college situation is, or youth situation is, or high school situation is. And I think one of the nice things we've experienced over these last 6 weeks or so is the enthusiasm and embracing of the diversity amongst our broader community of coaches and athletes. And so, be it Doug on the other day talking about LGBT, Rusty talking about high school soccer in Texas, Michael with a little bit more of a faith-based, and then of course the military experience. Yeah. This is what soccer looks like in America, and probably more so than any other country in the world. And it's been a real privilege these last 6 weeks to do these. So Michael, thank you very much for contributing to that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I do think we're unique. I think we have an exciting future.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do too. And just two things. Thank you for your service.
Oh, absolutely.
And also want to thank all of our first responders and essential workers and all those that are serving us now in these tough times. So thank you so much. And for those that, by the way, forgot to tell you, boss, I don't know if you saw, but we do have, according to this individual, a Match Day Supporters Club in Seattle. So
I think it might have one person in it, but we've got it.
All right, that's all right. We're going to have Match Day T-shirts and hats soon. Just wait. But no, thank you all so much. Later on today will be Bo Dura, who is an author and journalist and all that. So it should be very interesting. So thank you all so much, Michael. God bless.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.